Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Today is Friday, March 20th, 2026. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. A federal judge in Tennessee has blocked a Chapter 11 bankruptcy filing made earlier this week by Uncle Nearest CEO Fawn Weaver. She took to social media to say that the receivership is over, but it's not. Black home ownership across the country still lags behind white home ownership. According to a report from Habitat for Humanity, the president of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers will join me to discuss how they are working to close the gap. A judge has ruled that has given the green light on a racial bias lawsuit that two black female executives have brought against McDonald's. Next month, the U.S. Supreme Court will hear oral arguments regarding the Trump administration's attempt to end the temporary protected status for individuals from both Haiti and Syria. I'll talk with one of the leading Haitian-American activists who is fighting on their behalf. And the head coach of the Tuskegee University men's basketball team has filed a $1 million lawsuit against Morehouse after he was handcuffed after a post-game handshake. Lots to break down. It is time to bring the funk. I'm Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
All right, folks, welcome to today's show. Lots for us to break down, so let's get right to it. First and foremost, we're going to deal with this story. We're waiting for our guest to join us regarding this Uncle Nearest case, which is absolutely crazy. Both back in 2020, two black female executives, Vicky Guster-Hines and Dominica Neal, filed a lawsuit against McDonald's. They alleged racial discrimination in the house-to-work environment, claiming they were pushed out of their jobs after speaking up. Now, a judge has ruled that their racial discrimination case can move forward in a court case scheduled to begin in September. Among the incidents in the lawsuit, alleged comments during a 2019 meeting between McDonald's CEO Chris Kempczynski and black executives, in which the CEO is alleged to have said that the company was not committed to racial diversity and that most of the black executives present deserve to be in lower-ranking jobs. The judge also noted comments made by another McDonald's supervisor in which the plaintiffs were depicted as being angry black women. This lawsuit is one of a number of legal actions taken against McDonald's in recent years. The fast food giant settled another lawsuit related to the exclusion of black media advertising opportunities that was filed by Byron Allen. Of course, that was settled. They faced another for more than 40 former franchisees who collectively sued for unfair practices, unequal treatment, and illegal discrimination. Most recently, McDonald's has been among a number of major American corporations that have scaled back DEI efforts since Donald Trump returned to office last year. Now, what's interesting about this is, of course, Kempczynski follows in the footsteps of a black CEO at McDonald's. Let's talk about this with our panel. Joining us right now, of course, Michael Imhotep, host African History Network show. Also joining us, Matt Manning, civil rights attorney, joining us from Corpus Christi. Glad to have him. And of course, Candace Kelly, who joins us from New Jersey. Glad to have all three of you here. Let's, of course, get into this whole deal here. What's interesting is that, so Candace, when a judge says, hey, this can move forward, I mean, the judge has looked at the evidence and said that it's worthy of going to being presented before a jury.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that's crucial with the court system. We don't want people using the court system to their advantage just because they can, right? The court does not want to waste their time. They don't want people to waste their time. And you really are in a position when, as you said, where you're doing well, where the judge says, you know what, this case actually has the merits to go further. And so that is a big plus for these women to understand that he can't decide the case by dismissing it or giving it some type of summary judgment. He's actually going to have to leave it to other people, a jury, to decide. And that always reflects very well in terms of determining whether or not you have a very good case to proceed. Because otherwise, if it wasn't good, if it wasn't good and wasn't meritless, the judge would have said it's going to stop here.
Look, lawsuits are filed all the time. And corporations like McDonald's, listen, they try all they can to get these things dismissed before they even get to this point. And so clearly, what you now have is they're going to trial. Same thing happened in the Byron Allen case. And of course, once the judge made that ruling, then they later settled.
Was that for me, Roland? I didn't hear the
first
part. Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, look, I literally took 5 depositions today because I'm facing a motion for summary judgment coming down the pike pretty soon. So you're right. I mean, if a judge has determined that there's enough to get over it, that motion for summary judgment is usually the point in a civil case where it's basically, if you get past that, you get to go to a jury and maybe make all those allegations even more public. And if not, your case dies. Now, what's very interesting about this case that I do think is problematic is apparently the judge did dismiss the part of their claims that said that they had been passed over for promotions. And I think that's really problematic because if you have a workplace where the evidence is clear, they're being called angry black women, and you understand the import of that racial epithet, then it stands to reason it is not a far cry logically that they were also passed over for promotions. But outside of that, I think it's good. And I think if McDonald's is smart, they'll go ahead and settle this case, because if you have text from a CEO talking about he has a narrow worldview, then that's about as good evidence as you get that the problem starts at the top and trickles down to the bottom, and a jury will likely compensate them very well for that.
Michael, Don Thompson was a CEO of the worldwide CEO of McDonald's for 18 months before he was forced out. And I know for a fact when Don was there, frat brother of mine, he had there were a lot of black folks, a lot of black executives in critical positions, and a lot of those folks were no longer there when he was moved out. And so top executives always change in the companies when there's a new CEO, and that is the case here. And so, again, based upon previous cases, I would not be surprised if McDonald's wants to settle this, because the last thing you want, look, depositions are one thing, but when you start having folks testify in open court, and then when if you have folks corroborate statements that are made, not a good look.
Absolutely. Well, one, I remember when Don Thompson was CEO of McDonald's. I remember reading about him in Black Enterprise magazine. I remember you talking about him as well, Roland. So, this is not good for McDonald's that has a significant African-American, has a significant segment of their customers are African-Americans. They market heavily in the African-American community. So I read the article from Black Enterprise, and a couple of things came to mind. Number one, if you have these African-American female executives that were treated like this, alleging racial slurs and being called an angry black woman, et cetera, then how are other employees who are not executives, who are African-Americans or females, how are they treated? Okay. Now, I do understand that like the majority of McDonald's restaurants are franchisees. It's not corporate owned, but it just caused me to start thinking, well, wait a second, how are other people treated? And also, yes, I think they will settle out of court. They don't want this to go to court because it's going to garner headlines, and it will probably hurt McDonald's. Could possibly lead to some type of economic boycott against McDonald's, Roland, because the longer this goes on, the more people will hear about it. It will gain traction, and it will damage them. And lastly, this is one of the reasons why a lot of African-American women leave corporate America, not because they got downsized, even though over 300,000 lost their jobs, but start their own businesses because of mistreatment allegedly like this.
Well, and so let me give us the timeline. So Don Thompson was forced out, and then you have Steve Easterbrook who took over. He did not last long because of a consensual relationship he had with an underling, and so then he got forced out. Then Kim Zinski came in to replace him. And the thing is, Candace, this lawsuit was filed in 2020. So here we are 6 years later.
Yeah, 6 years later, I mean, partly because of COVID, partly because the courts were backed up. And that's really in par for the course. And generally, cases like this are going to take maybe, at least a year and a half to a year if you're gathering all the people, because this isn't something that is just about this particular franchise, as we know. You've talked about cases that have to do with this same type of background, whether it's franchisees getting a bad location, because we know that McDonald's is all about the real estate, or resources that they're offered, or getting retaliated against because they don't say yes to a particular location that's really bad, and you're not going to get that foot traffic. So this is nothing new, and while it's a long process, let's hope at the other end that these women, if their case is proven right, which I'm sure, because we know that this is representative of the whole McDonald's franchisee process, that they're going to get the money and win that they deserve, and also get the monies that they need in order to pay for those attorneys. Because when you say 2020, you're talking about 6 years of attorney's fees, and that in and of itself can not just, crumble you, but your whole family. Because when you go into a lawsuit like this, it's not just to women. It's their families, it's their friends, it's their mental health. It is everything that is associated with it. So hopefully they will get the win that they deserve.
All right, let's talk about another case. It's just been filled with drama, and that is dealing with Uncle Nearest. In August, a receiver was put in charge of the company after a lender charged that that the company defaulted. Now, this has been back and forth, back and forth. There have been all kind of different legal documents signed. This receivership is talked about since he ran the company, problems that he saw, what they owed. The company was not as worth as much as Fawn Weaver and her husband said it was actually worth. Again, over and over and over and over. Well, this week on Tuesday, Fawn Weaver drops a video on Instagram saying, hey, the receiver, it's done. She's filing bankruptcy. Roll it.
As of moments ago, the receivership of Uncle Nearest is done. If you've been reading the headlines lately, you probably thought that wasn't possible, but rest assured, it always was, and it is. I'm so grateful to God for our leadership team who kept their heads down and kept working. The same leadership team you've watched build Uncle Nearest never wavered. They blocked out the noise. Over the past 4 days, our legal teams have set several things in motion to protect this company, the legacy of Nearest Green, and the hundreds of thousands of people who have helped build Uncle Nearest one bottle at a time. First, Keith and I, as individuals, as well as the company's largest shareholder, filed a lawsuit against Farm Credit Mid-America in the Supreme Court of the state of New York. The complaint lays the groundwork to prove the bank knowingly circulated false accusations about Uncle Nearest, as well as Keith and me, including claims of missing inventory, financial misconduct, negative cash flow, and insolvency, despite possessing the records that contradicted every single one of those claims. More than 10 attorneys across New York, Atlanta, and New Orleans have spent the last 7 months reviewing this evidence together, and to say that they are ready to litigate this case is an understatement. Second, this morning I approved the filing of Chapter 11 to reorganize our debt to protect our team members, all Uncle Nearest creditors, not just one, and our shareholders. That filing immediately stayed the earlier lawsuit. Many who have read the headlines are understandably concerned about the allegations of financial irregularities. Frankly, if I were just reading the headlines or only the bank's allegations, I'd be concerned too. But that's one of the reasons I approved entering Chapter 11 this morning, because Chapter 11 requires complete financial transparency. In that courtroom, no one gets to hide behind filings without evidence or accusations without proof. And the picture that has been painted about Uncle Nearest will now have to be proven through numbers that add up, not words. Court filings associated with our Chapter 11 proceeding will reflect $13.2 million in unsecured obligations. The loan at issue with Farm Credit has a principal balance of $102.6 million, which the company disputes, and will address that through claims and counterclaims against that lender. These liabilities, however, stack up against an enterprise value estimated at approximately $529 million. Chapter 11 is what has allowed so many of America's longest standing companies to keep growing after running into challenges. My favorite airline, y'all know, is Delta. Filed Chapter 11 in 2005. Today it's worth about $30 billion. Marvel Entertainment, filed in 1996, emerged bigger and better, producing Iron Man, Avengers, Black Panther, Captain America, all of those things. And as founder and CEO, the responsibility for addressing this and moving the company forward ultimately rests with me and me alone. I should have seen the signs sooner. I should have acted sooner. I wish I had. But I can't go back and change the past. What I can do is make better decisions moving forward, beginning with making sure the story of Uncle Nearest is never again pulled away from what it should have always been about: the legacy of Nearest Green and his family, the legacy that deserves the truth.
Okay, here's the problem. Federal judge said none of that should have been said or even done. On Thursday, U.S. bankruptcy judge Suzanne Balknight ruled that Weaver, who launched Uncle Nearest in 2017, was not authorized to file the bankruptcy petitions she submitted on the company's behalf earlier this week. Again, they're under the control of an appointed receiver to steer the company while the company faces a lawsuit of more than $100 million alleged unpaid debt. And so this has been going back and forth. And the only responsibility that she really has is marketing. They said, if the receiver in previous documents said, that's really the best thing that she can do while he is handling the business side. He also said in court that video that she put out has caused problems because many other people have been phoning him saying, hey, what's going on? Are we going to get paid? What's happening with the company? It's been lots and lots of drama. Thelma Anderson, creator of the Public Opinion Court and author of Shut Up and Prosecute, who's an attorney who joins us right now out of Dallas. And I saw your video talking about this. And this has really been contentious. It's also been emotional because there's a lot of African Americans who support her, who support Uncle Nearest. She keeps taking to social media. There are other people who are saying, please stop talking, allow this thing to go out. And to then have this judge say, you were not authorized to do this. Now the judge is weighing penalties for ignoring a previous court order. She's been citing another case that happened in Tennessee that was in a state court where they did allow for them to file for bankruptcy. They said in this case, hey, the board has to authorize the bankruptcy. The board was dissolved as a result of the receivership. And so this has folks going back and forth. It's like sort of whiplash as in terms of what the hell's going on.
You're absolutely correct. She is causing confusion on purpose. And it is to distract. It's to distract the process and the purpose of this receivership, being able to get to the bottom of why this should be multimillionaire company is in debt. And while this receiver has been in place, this receiver has been able to come in and kind of stabilize things while they try to figure out what's going on. And the one thing about this receiver, she picked this receiver. She is the one that put him in place. She handpicked this receiver. But once this receiver started to come in and started to see, what y'all doing with this? Why this is over here? Why this is over there? Why are y'all commingling funds between other entities? No, we got to bring them in. Soon as that receiver said that they needed to bring in the other entities that they were sending money out to, they started doing everything possible to try to distract and delay. And they started with forcing this previous hearing. And the one thing that people need to pay attention to and understand, when you knuck in order to buck in a court system, be careful, because everything you say can and will be used against you for future proceedings. And that's exactly what happened. And from that hearing, the judge ordered that Sidney Grant, one of the additional entities, needed to be merged into the receivership because one, they was trying to sell Martha's Vineyard, and they were trying to sell off other assets to pay the creditors. One of the biggest creditors is Farm Credit. Farm Credit gave over $100 million. Of course they want their money. Of course, when you default on something as big as that, they want to see what you've been doing. And it's been a lot of commingling. It's been a lot of individuals that are shareholders that are not even put in as the actual shares. They're not even identifying shares for shareholders like Jay-Z. I don't even know if he understands that his money is one of the reasons why the court is like, how you gonna get 20 mil from Jay-Z for Uncle Nearest and you're not gonna put this money in so that the creditors and the assets can flow and we can know where the money is? I'm just at a loss for words at how much of a mess this is. And it's even worse because she's going on the internet. She is invoking her Weaver cult to believe the lies and believe the mess. And she's trying to distract them from understanding that she has literally screwed the legacy of Uncle Nearest with the shenanigans and the get you gotcha. The court has been told her to get off the internet and stop talking. She keep playing in the court's face, and the court continues to show her who's in control. And the receiver never gave her any permission to go and file that bankruptcy. She did that thinking that she was above the law, and the law showed up in bankruptcy court and told her, no, I control this. You need to sit back, focus on marketing, stop getting in the way. And if you think you coming back, let me show you this case law that's gonna keep you from going back. And you think she learned her lesson? She filed an appeal to the bankruptcy judgment today.
Yep, that's what I was just about to say. The appeal was filed. You referenced Martha's Vineyard. There was a $4 million home, or a home that was purchased in Martha's Vineyard that they claimed they used for marketing, for branding. That receiver, he put that house on the market for some $2.5, almost $3 million, and said they got several offers on that particular house, and so you got that going on. Then you have the allegations of hiding some $20 million that came from Jay-Z, and on and on and on. And the thing is, again, I've been following this. And I've seen all of these different stories. And, at one point she claimed the company was worth $1 billion. And still claims the valuation of more than $500 million. The receiver has been saying, no, this is what stuff is worth. It's not worth what she's been saying is worth. It's been this whole deal back and forth. Now he's saying that commingling of funds between companies that she controls and Uncle Nearest and her husband as well. And so, this has been just a massive, massive mess.
It's bigger than a mess. It is one of the biggest finesse that I've seen in our community when you are utilizing the tools of your background of PR. Because we know Fawn comes from PR, and she was at one of the biggest white PR firms that used to doing these kind of antics to sway the public into your favor by going to the public first before the news can actually circulate to control the narrative. But what she doesn't understand, she understands that these creditors gave you that money for a reason. And that money, they want to know where it has went, where it's going, and how they're going to get it back. The receiver said, we don't even know if the creditors are going to even get any kind of value of what they have invested into Uncle Nearest because it's such a shit show. And she blamed it on the CFO. The CFO ain't do nothing. This is all on the Weavers. The Weavers have been utilizing the name of Uncle Nearest in order to get in the door, which is okay. But make sure you are not messing up a legacy that you have proclaimed to be one of your pride and joys with what you're doing, because you're creating a paper trail and you know that you're a black, and as a black woman you cannot make any mistake. And so if you think these creditors are not setting you up to make sure that they get what is due to them, not only on the money side, but on other sides that have been identified in their court record, you need to stay off the internet. You need to stop playing in your lawyers' faces, and you need to stop playing in their court's face, because they're going to have the final say.
Now, I'm gonna bring in Matt and Candace, and Michael is here, and this is from the Tennessean. The Chapter 11 petition Weaver filed stated. Let's see here. Give me 1 second. I want to make sure y'all can see this here. This is from the Nashville Tennessean. The Chapter 11 petition Weaver filed stated Uncle Nearest has $13,355,441.76 in unsecured debt, far below the $99 million in unsecured debt reported by Young, who's the receiver. The $13.4 million spread among 264 creditors, according to the petition. This is a whole lot that's going on here, Candace. And the thing here, the judge in this case admonished Weaver by saying the judge made it clear she was only to do marketing, that she does not have any authority to make decisions on behalf of the company because it's in the hand of this receiver. Now they're asking for sanctions of $75,000 against her for filing this bankruptcy.
Yeah, and she is facing the court and its power, just like you have been talking about. The only thing for her to do right now is to become solvent in some way and to bring down these particular monies that she owes. And she's in a position, as we see, where people are listening to her, and we see that how she is spinning things. She needs to use that PR experience that she has to her advantage in something else. At the very least, they gave her that right in order to try to do better and raise that money. And that really is only the position that she has. She did not have the authority to do this. The courts are telling her that. And the more she continues to do this, the more she is going to be fined. But again, she does have a little power in her court, in my estimation, in that she has the power of PR. She has the power of gab. She has the power of social media to get everybody on board to buy something from her brand and become solvent. That would be the way out of this.
Well, look, Michael. I'm sorry, Candace, go ahead.
The other thing is that she has a defamation suit against the creditor. We have to see how that turns out.
Michael, look, she's been pushing people to, clean the shelves, folks buying the product. The receiver has actually said he believes that if he doesn't have to deal with the antics of Weaver and her husband, he says that he believes that he can get the company, right-sized to be able to be on a path to be profitable. But in previous filings, he made it clear he wouldn't even talk with her unless attorneys were present. And so it's been a whole lot of back and forth. And the receiver's job is to handle the money of the company to make sure that the creditors get paid.
This is a damn shame. I'm sorry. This, as somebody that taught entrepreneurship, helped Black people start businesses, has done case studies, things like this. I don't have all the details, but I've been following this somewhat, and I have so many questions. So first of all, so March 19th, U.S. bankruptcy judge Suzanne Boatwright ruled that Fawn Reaver was not authorized to file bankruptcy petitions. Now, that video that you just showed of Fawn Reaver, Roland, I don't know the date. When did she put that?
That was Tuesday.
Out because she was...
No, that was Tuesday.
Okay.
So she dropped that video on Tuesday. She dropped the video on Tuesday, literally saying that the receivership is over. It's done because she filed. 2 days later, the next day, they were like, no, it's not. Thursday, the ruling came down. The judge said, I'm throwing this bankruptcy petition out. You did not have the authority to file it. And now her attorneys are appealing that decision.
Right. So, number one, I would think that attorneys would tell their client, don't put out videos without running that by us first. because that can be used in court. This doesn't make any sense. I understand she has the gift of gab and things like this. She kind of reminds me of Donald Trump. I'm not saying she's a criminal, don't get me wrong, but she kind of reminds me of Donald Trump. And a lot of times I have a background in sales. Sometimes when you're like really good at sales and you can talk people into things, sometimes you think you can talk your way out of anything. Okay. And in court, that doesn't work. That's the problem here. So you can do videos, but when you go to court, all that stuff doesn't matter. And this is just a damn shame to and I really wanted her to be successful with the business. I've managed some companies. I don't know how you got $13 million in debt. Don't have all the details, 264 creditors. This does not look good. I'm sorry.
Matt,
it doesn't.
And Matt, this is a New York Times story that was done February 10th. So that was last month, a month ago. Philip Young, the receiver, said that, among other things, he found that all the company's records before 2024 had been deleted, that it owed an additional $50 million to vendors and other creditors, that it was struggling to make payroll, and that it had not filed federal tax returns since 2018. So what ends up happening is the receiver goes to court, makes a series of claims. Weaver comes out and says on social media, nope, that's wrong. That's not the truth. You're not telling the truth. And then she gives her version, and folks are like, we riding with you. But the reality is this company is still in economic peril.
One of the hardest things for me as a lawyer is when my clients are trying to win their case despite me, right? And I'm trying to advise them the job. That's what I do.
Matt, hold on one second. So, Matt, you're real choppy. You're really choppy right now. We're hearing like it's breaking up. Let me know when Matt's signal is back. Because I definitely want to hear what he has to say. Thelma, to that point, listen, you're a lawyer. Candace is a lawyer. Matt's a lawyer. When you're in a court battle, you want to listen to your lawyers and take the lead. And I've had other folks who are in private equity, individuals who deal with businesses all the time, and we've been chatting about this story and others. We talk all the time, and to every person I've talked to, what they've said is to Fawn Weaver, be quiet.
It's a no-brainer. And being a former prosecutor, that's the one thing that I used to do. I used to go to social media. I used to find out where these people friends are, and I used to search the comments, the posts, everything, and I would use that to build upon the character of that individual. So everything that she's saying is being collected. And I'm not talking about just by for the civil and the receivership. I'm talking about for other things that don't look so promising. So when you are in a position and you have hired and paid all this money for attorneys, and you decide that you are smarter than an attorney because you got the gift of gab, those are the clients that I know that I release, because I'm not going to put my career in jeopardy because you want to control a narrative that you put yourself into.
Did we get Matt's video fixed? All right, so we're still working on that. Candace, if you were Fawn Weaver's attorney, what would you be advising her right now?
That anything you say and do, anything that you write, anything that you post, all of that is just evidence, right? Mm-hmm. We know that anything that you say and do will be held against you in the court of law. We know that phrase very well. So you generally keep your mouth shut and listen to what your attorney says. Even in a criminal case, if you want to take the stand, you better listen to your attorney. It's your right to be up on there, but it won't do you any good if you're doing it on your own volition and don't know the law inside and out. So that's the situation that we're dealing with now. Someone who thinks that she can do something on social media, which she can, she just can't and shouldn't do this particular thing. I think that's one of the takeaways from anybody who's looking at this case, doesn't understand receiverships, doesn't understand what happens when you actually file bankruptcy law. I think that there is a lot to be learned here for an outsider looking in, especially, and even if you do something that kind of goes off the course as she's doing right now. So what she's saying is evidence. I mentioned a defamation lawsuit earlier. That's a civil lawsuit. This is going to be used as evidence, and that's how you build a good case.
And again, Farm Credit Mid-America said they defaulted on some $108 million in loans. And also what's happening here, Michael, from a business standpoint, listen, the entire spirits industry has collapsed. First of all, millennials and Gen Zs don't drink the way baby boomers and Gen X do. And so that's depressing sales. Donald Trump's tariffs are impacting. Canada has given the finger to whiskey and other spirits from Kentucky. Other companies in Tennessee and Kentucky have been filing bankruptcy, have been shutting down. And so the entire industry is having huge problems. Everyone is trying to survive in this climate. And again, you're this receiver who's saying, yo, I'm trying to save the company, but you ain't let me save the company. You getting in the way.
Yeah, Roland, once again, I'm sorry, this looks like something from a Saturday Night Live skit or something like this. This is depressing. I was a business consultant for 7 years, and if I had somebody that was in this situation and then putting out videos like this, I'm like, what are you doing? Listen to your attorneys. Focus on reducing your debt. Focus on, why haven't you paid your taxes? Why haven't you filed your taxes? Why?
Michael, keep going.
Oh, okay. The video started playing again.
Yeah, well, I know that. It's called B-roll.
I understand, but she was talking over me. I thought you wanted me to be quiet. Okay.
Keep talking.
Okay. So, one of the questions I would ask is, well, wait a second, why haven't you filed taxes since 2018? What's going on with that? Help me explain how you got $13 million in debt. What's going on here? And are you more focused on being a social media star than actually running a successful business? These are questions I would ask.
This was,
once again,
go to my iPad. This is for the New York Times story. Quote, when the receiver assumed control of the company, it was in financial shambles. Mr. Young wrote, asserting that it had been losing about $1 million a month. There had never been an independent audit, and Mr. Young said he could find no justification for Mrs. Weaver's 10-figure valuation. He also said he could not assemble a reliable list of investors, the amounts they had invested, and when. He estimated the value of the company at about $100 million, roughly 1/10 of Mrs. Weaver's valuation from 2 years before, when she said it was worth $1.2 billion, and significantly less than his estimated $158 million in debt. Mr. Young said he began a forensic investigation of the company's finances, including a number of very questionable transactions in 2024 and 2025 involving officers and directors of the company. We're still trying to get Matt back. And okay, he's back. And the thing here, Matt, listen, a lot of black folks are like, yo, here they go, folks trying to steal what's ours, steal the company. But this is what I always tell folk. You got to handle your business. Your paperwork got to be right. And when it comes to getting $100 million in loans, companies are going to want their money back. Lenders are going to want their money back. And this is just, it's like, again, the receiver comes out, states something, and she goes, hey, you can't believe one side. But here's the reality. The receiver reports to the court. So if the receiver lies to the court, that receiver is risking going to jail.
Look, vibes are not viability. Like how people feel about things on social media and the impression that you create does not correlate to the strength of the evidence. And what I was going to say before I had issues with my computer is that one of the hardest things for me to do as an attorney is have clients that do not listen to me and try to do things on their own because they think vibes are going to carry the day for them. They are certainly not. In fact, I was looking up earlier the difference between indirect contempt and direct contempt because, something like a receiver in a bankruptcy, you understand exceedingly clearly when you are somebody like Fawn Weaver, or at least you should, what that person's role is versus what your role is. So to file something outside of the bounds of what the court has specified you can file or the involvement you can have, that you are per se disrespecting the court and the court's orders. To your point, the thing I never understand about financial impropriety is how people think that it will not be found. $100 million is an extraordinary amount of money. There is no way, if you're, committing some kind of financial malfeasance, that's not going to be found. So it seems to me what you would do here, if you're prudent, is you would lean upon your lawyer's advice. You do everything to make sure you don't have criminal liability, because it's not outside of the bounds that DOJ will be investigating people for embezzlement or some kind of mismanagement at this level. And that's the kind of thing you are very plausibly looking at. So if you're Fawn, Weaver, and team, you'd think you'd be doing the opposite, closing the phalanx, saying as little as possible, and making sure you have a very strong defense for what may be coming down the pike.
All right, then. Thelma, we appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. We'll see what happens next. I'm sure there will be more videos from Fawn Weaver this weekend. All right. Thanks a lot, folks. I'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Medicine and science under attack. I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black Star Network, where each week I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
What's up? It's Talib Kweli. I'm CEO. This is the Black Star Network.
All right, let's stay on the legal area. Benji Taylor, the head coach of Tuskegee University's men's basketball team, has filed a civil lawsuit following the incident where a Morehouse College police officer handcuffed him after a post-game handshake earlier this year. The incident took place on January 31st and where the two teams played. Now, Taylor expressed concern about Morehouse football players interacting with Tuskegee players and their parents. Despite the officer's actions, Taylor was never charged with the crime. In response to the incident, the Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Conference has imposed a fine on Morehouse College and required the college to implement corrective measures to ensure future compliance with security policies. Taylor's attorney, Harry Daniels. Do we have Harry? Okay, there we go. We got Harry. Okay, so Harry, this is what I am still perplexed by this, that the officer makes this decision, and that single decision can cost the school a hell of a whole lot of money that could be applied to educational reasons. It is still crazy to me. I mean, has the officer said anything? Has he? Because anytime I play the video, we break it down, it's like he got pissed off that the coach was, saying what's going on, and he just decided to say, I must put the handcuffs on this dude.
Thanks, Roland, for having me on. I don't think that it affected the school particularly. This is really an insurance claim that the school has, particularly dealing with these type of claims. They have insurance to cover the incidents of the officers misconduct or bad conduct. So it's like any other corporation, entity, or city. We have insurance to cover these particular things. But absolutely, we haven't received any response from the officer. The night of the incident, Coach Taylor received an email from the chief of police and the athletic director of Morehouse College apologizing to him. But the damage is already done. Benji Taylor has suffered significant damage as a result of this. He's lost contracts, mental health, going to a counselor, blood pressure issues, hair loss, and his good reputation has been tarnished. He won the Coach of the Year, and nobody's talking about that. Everybody's talking about him being handcuffed and perk walked through the Forbes Arena at Morehouse College on that particular day. So it's our job to get some redress for it, rehabilitate his reputation, and show that we will not tolerate any of these type of acts of conduct, not just on any HBCU, Morehouse College, any HBCU, but all colleges, because it never should have happened. Benji Taylor should never been paraded, embarrassed, humiliated in the way he was humiliated.
In fact, I think that was a ESPN game where the video was played on the big screen in the stadium, on the jumbotron, and you know, I forgot who was playing when the schools went off on ESPN saying, "Why in the hell did y'all play that?"
Right. Actually, the schools that was playing was Morehouse and Tuskegee, playing for the SIAC championship, and the game was nationally televised on ESPN. And inside the arena, you have, you know, throughout the whole week of that tournament, there was never any thing shown on the jumbotron that was shown on actual TV on ESPN. But so happened this game, it showed him being arrested and carried out or escorted out of the gym. That happened on January 31st, 2026. So that was a championship game, and that greatly affected his players. Coach Taylor's in the press conference talked about that today, how his players hold demeanor, and it changed. And actually, Coach Taylor, he wasn't aware that the jumbotron had actually showed what happened when he was arrested that day. So he wasn't even aware of it. So he's been greatly affected. His team been affected emotionally, physically, financially, and his reputation. You know, it's sad that a person who we entrust our children to as a leader of men, mentor, a person who's doing the right thing, that's trying to protect his players, the institution, not just his players, but Morehouse College student athlete as well, is ridiculed and subject to this type of treatment. So
folks,
we brought this lawsuit.
Folks, this is the wide shot. You see it right here. You see the coach. I mean, this was only, if I had to time this thing, we're only, give me 1 second, I'm going to move it back here. If I had to time this, I mean, we're talking, it wasn't a long exchange. I mean, it was like, you know, the officer just decided to, okay, let me see here, let me go ahead and play it. So you're going to see in a second here, you're going to see the coach. He's talking to the police officer, and all of a sudden, the police officer grabs his cuffs, and next thing we know, he handcuffs him. I mean, it was literally 5 seconds. It was literally 5 seconds before the cop said, "I'm gonna slap the cuffs on you."
Yeah, you know, a lot of people is questioning or speculating as to what did Coach Taylor say, you know, to have the officer to put cuffs on. First and foremost, Coach Taylor, he didn't, but he could have. He could have cussed the officer out. That's a First Amendment right. You still can be subject to being arrested. You have a First Amendment right to use profanity, so long as you're not using profanity in the presence of children in the state of Georgia, which constitute as disorderly conduct. That didn't happen. He solely questioned this officer as to why he's allowing these football players to be in this line that already have been disruptive and taunted his team throughout this basketball game in a manner that's disrespectful. We get the college students, or, you know, they in rivalry games, they mess with other teams. You know, that happens all over. That's no loss on that. But when they're on the court, on the baseline, in close proximity of the away team, that's a problem.
Yep.
It becomes a security issue, and that's what Coach Taylor was concerned. This is a security issue that can get out of hand. And only one officer, to my understanding, was in that gymnasium with thousands of people. My understanding that Morehouse incoming presidents was also present at the game. So we had to make sure and ensure that, first and foremost, the safety of the student athlete is paramount. And if this lawsuit is an example to show that we need to get better security to ensure the safety, then so be it. But this lawsuit is more important about Coach Taylor and what happened to him and his family, what they have endured, and hopefully we can get some legal redress for it.
Yeah, and from this angle here, there are 2 officers we see, not sure anything else. Harry, we appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Roland. Have a good weekend, bro.
I don't understand for the life of me, Matt. If I'm Morehouse, I'm pissed off at that cop. That was just stupid. I mean, listen, if you watch the HBCU game day video, we know, listen, y'all, we ain't even got to sit here and we don't even need the transcript or the audio to know what happened. We know what happened right here, okay? Go to my iPad. All of a sudden, the coach is chewing the cop out, and the cop, so you're going to see right here, the cop is going to say something. Oh, who you think you talking to? Boom, right there. He's like, oh, there you go, boom. We know what that is. Matt, it was like cop got pissed off that he said something to him. I'm going to show your ass who's boss. I'm slapping these cuffs on you.
You know, when I saw this video earlier, I thought this is probably the dumbest arrest I've seen either in my whole career or in a very long time, because not only is there no PC, I mean, cops get talked to crazy all the time. I'm not saying that Coach Taylor was even talking to him in a crazy way. Obviously, he was frustrated about what was happening, but you're allowed to be frustrated. Just like Harry said, First Amendment protects all of that. So a lot of times officers are, believe it or not, are not going to make an arrest like that where they don't even think it's defensible. And I don't know what this cop thought he was going to be able to say that would make this remotely defensible. But if Morehouse is smart, they fired him immediately, and they're going to call Harry and them and offer them a tidy sum for Coach Taylor's, having to endure this, because there's no justification for this whatsoever. Just even the way it happened. I mean, just like you've pointed out, it was only a few seconds. I can't imagine anything that he could have said that justified this remotely. And often in such situations, when you have this many witnesses, you see officers do the opposite. They try to just talk and let it go and whatever, and maybe they say Coach Taylor was, acting poorly, but to actually slap cuffs on him, I don't understand at all how he thought he was going to get there. But I'm sure Morehouse has probably already fired him, and if they haven't, they are very soon to do so.
This is the HBCU game day clip. It's a total of 28 seconds, y'all. And all of a sudden, you're seeing this, and then you got other people walking up saying, "Say, bro, what you doing? Like, you really about to arrest him? Is that what you about to do?" Again, Candace, I'm sorry. If you're Morehouse, I don't want a hot-head cop anywhere on my campus if that's how he's going to respond to 10, 15 seconds of a head basketball coach complaining. This wasn't a fan who rolled up on him. This is the head basketball coach of the opposing team. You might want to learn some discretion.
Yeah, you might. And you also might want to learn how to respond in a situation like this, because at first, Morehouse apologized, but now they flipped the script. I mean, none of that looks good. It looks like they don't know what they're talking about in regards to this particular cop. But with these federal charges, I mean, we're talking infliction of emotional distress and violation of his civil rights, and just the fact that he lost money, right? That is what he's saying in this lawsuit. So all of this is going to add up to even more, because Morehouse was already fined for this. So now we're in a situation where Morehouse is trying to do more in terms of supporting this particular cop. That is their stance at this point, and it is not going to work out for them. This is someone, if you look as you have at the sound bites of this particular coach and everything that he's gone through, he cannot sleep. He's lost 11 pounds. He has a therapist. He's lost respect. There was a perp walk after a game. I mean, it's incredible. And, I think with the irony of this is that we've got so many professional players who probably should get a perp walk in some of these games. I just can't believe a coach would off of something so small. So I think that Morehouse is going to have a really uphill battle, because they've spoken, they've changed positions, they seem confused.
I tell you, Michael, let's see here. you want to hurry up and settle this because, as Candace said, you got fined by the conference. You apologize for what happened. What's your defense? You ain't got a defense.
Apparently, they don't have one, Roland, because when you read the article from the Associated Press today, March 20th, it says Taylor was not charged.
That's my point. He wasn't charged. Schools apologized, and they got fined.
So why was he? I'm still waiting on what was the reason why he was arrested. It seemed like the security officers, campus police officers' feelings were hurt.
That's all.
And he maybe felt insulted because the coach is telling him to do his job and enforce the conference rules. So yeah, they're going to settle this because this does not look good for Morehouse at all.
No.
Yep. So hey, everybody can't be police officers. Everybody shouldn't be campus police officers. This is an example of that.
Absolutely crazy. All right, y'all. We got to talk about Georgia. A 31-year-old Georgia woman has been charged with attempted murder after police say she took pills to induce an abortion. Court records show that the woman, Alexia Moore, went to a hospital on December 30th complaining of abdominal pain and told staff that she had taken the abortion drug, misoprostol, and the painkiller oxycodone. Investigators said the fetus survived for about an hour after delivery and that Moore told nurses she knew the infant was suffering because she had induced the abortion. Under Georgia's 2019 law, abortions in the state are banned once a fetal heartbeat can be detected, typically around 6 weeks. Moore has been jailed in Camden County since March 4th on charges of attempted murder and illegal drug possession. If prosecutors move forward with the attempted murder charge against Moore, it could become one of the first cases in Georgia where a woman is charged for ending a pregnancy since the 2019 abortion law took effect. Go to our lawyers. Candace, you first. What do you make of this?
Well, listen, this is where we have to really distinguish and look at the law itself. The law itself in Georgia, similar to other state laws across the country, is that you are to punish the provider of these particular drugs. She got these drugs in a different state. She brought them across lines into a place where she was not allowed to have them by law. What happened, unfortunately for her, was the whole reason why she got the drugs in the first place, and that was that the baby was born. So after that, they moved into a different arena of drugs and crossing state lines and punishing the person providing the drugs, to now we have a baby that was born for 1 hour, but this was a human being that lived on this earth. And that's where these particular murder charges come in. So all of this is really being played out in real time because it's unprecedented. And even when we look at other cases in other states, there are different results depending upon the status of that baby, depending upon who the provider is. But now we've moved into a whole different territory now that that baby was born. And as you said, there was an admission on her part that the reason why this happened is because she took those drugs. So it's hard to even have an answer in terms of, okay, what's going to happen? Why, Roland? We don't have the precedent. We are in the middle of precedent-setting times. So we have to see how this one turns out to see how the next cases will come out, because this is one of the first in order to kind of get this far.
Matt?
So I'll take a little different tack than Candace on this. I mean, I think her defense is actually going to have a pretty hard road to hoe, because if the investigator is to be believed, she allegedly said that she wanted the baby to die. That's going to be incredibly problematic, right? Because a lot of the conversation and rhetoric we've heard around how these cases would be prosecuted are behind a woman's right to choose, not the specific intent to harm the baby, right? Here, she's told this allegedly to the investigators that she wanted the baby to die. So I think that is a huge problem from the context of a murder charge. And I think the bigger issue for the prosecution is whether there will be proof that before the child was born, there was evidence of cardiac activity having been detected. I know the child was old enough to have cardiac activity detected, but that to me seems to be a huge proof issue, because if there's not evidence that there was ever any prior detection of cardiac activity, then I don't know how she can be prosecuted, because there wouldn't be evidence that the baby was found to actually be viable at that level. Now, whether it could be viable is a different question of whether there was actual evidence. So I think that's going to be where the breakdown occurs and where really the rubber's going to meet the road on this case. I do think it is a scary prospect that you're prosecuting in some states what is considered a medical procedure in other states, and that discontinuity, creates a problem across the United States. But this particular case, I think, may actually not be as difficult for them to prosecute. And if you look at the article, that's what a defense attorney there in Georgia said, that they thought this was actually a legitimate charge. I don't think this is the way murder charges should be brought, but I do think she's actually going to have an issue in court, depending on how the evidence shakes out.
Michael.
Yeah, Roland. One, this is a tragic story. Two, yeah, I think she's going to have a hard time defending this. I think it's a stupid law in Georgia, but once again, I think she's going to have a hard time defending this as well. But it does bring into all these different issues going across the state line, not having a legal precedent as well. So we'll see how this turns out. But this is a disturbing case, all the way around. And I remember when this heartbeat bill passed back in 2019. And we figured we would see cases, like this. And unfortunately, here's one of these cases here.
All right, folks, got to go to a break. We come back, we're going to talk black home ownership. We'll also talk about what Dems need to do to attract young black voters. And as usual, it's always the daily stupid thing Donald Trump says. That could really be twice an hour segment. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
A decade of love, joy, and power. Black Voters Matter is 10 years old, and we are just getting started. This is love with a purpose. This is black joy in motion. This is unstoppable power. Across campuses, neighborhoods, and back roads, let's go! We show up, not just to vote, but to be seen, to be heard, to belong. We ride together, we organize together. We remind each other that our voices matter, because they always have. Black Voters Matter is about more than ballots. It's about housing and healthcare, clean water and living wages, education, reproductive freedom, and dignity. It's about turning pain into action, turning belief into movement, turning community into power. We don't wait to be invited. We bring the energy. We bring the love. We bring the people. Because when black communities come together, we don't just survive, we thrive. This is how change happens. This is how history moves. We organize, we build, we win.
My name is Bill Duke, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Folks, according to Habitat for Humanity, black home ownership in the U.S. is approximately 46 to 47%. The figure is significantly lower than the white home ownership rate, which exceeds 65%. These disparities highlight ongoing systemic barriers and historical inequities. To address this, the National Association of Real Estate Brokers is leading a series of national initiatives called Closing the Gap through Advocacy, Affordability, and Access. Ashley Thomas is the president of NARAB, so joining us right now. Ashley, glad to have you here. So, okay, so when we say, what specifically are we talking about when we say a variety of national initiatives? What does that mean?
Well, thank you first for having me on the show and for all the years of support. I definitely want to talk about what it actually means in terms of closing the gap. We're talking about the wealth gap in America, and we believe we can close that gap through home ownership. So black home ownership has been something that we've been locked out for many, many years. And so we want to definitely take that to some specific initiatives. Specifically, we are going to launch an 8-city bus tour where we're going to start in Philadelphia. We'll go to Baltimore. We're going to go to Detroit, Gary, Indiana, Kansas City, Missouri, Memphis, Tennessee, and we'll go to Little Rock, Arkansas, and then also Tulsa, Oklahoma. And so on this tour, we plan on meeting the people where they are. The American dream has turned into focusing on profit over people and families, and so we want to meet the people exactly where they are.
Okay, I got it. Meet the people, but meet the people to do what? What are you? Is there, like, for instance, is there a number in mind? Do you want to say, hey, between in 2026, by this point, March 2027, we want to have 25,000 more black homeowners. What goals are you setting?
So we're setting a goal in terms of affordability. So in terms of numbers, right now we're very focused on keeping people right. The credit card debts are at an all-time high, but building putting people in homes. So in terms of our numbers, we're just dealing with one number at a time. We're trying to get to 50% home ownership rate. Currently, right now, we're at 43%. The white home ownership rate is around 72%. This is the largest gap that we've had since 1968. And so continuing with student loans is a big issue for us. So what we're going to be doing is bringing education out to the community. We are also advocating on certain policies that will open the credit box for many other people to be able to enter into home ownership. And really what we need to do is start branding home ownership and its importance again. We've gone away from talking about home ownership for various reasons, and we need to get back into that. And so that's what we plan on doing. There's a big issue out there right now with growing debt. There's great issues in terms of outdated underwriting systems. And so that's what we're advocating against. We also are looking at housing voucher systems. You can take your housing voucher and convert that to a home ownership voucher, which is very important. Heirs property rights continues to be something that we need to keep these homes in our families for generations to come. We talk about building generational wealth, but it's important to keep the home. We cannot build generational wealth by selling all of our assets.
So, okay, so you first talked about dealing with people with credit. Okay, but how's it going to be done? Are y'all partnering with something like Operation Hope? So if somebody comes to the bus tour and they need help with their credit to get their credit score up, where are y'all directing them to? Who are y'all sending them to? Are they going to be at the bus tour as well?
So we will have housing counselors that will be at the bus tour, can talk about credit, can talk about how to keep your home if you're in default or you're delinquent, can talk about first-time home buyer courses. We can definitely do that at the tour. We're also going to have attorneys that will be there to actually talk about trust, giving you the education on what you need to do. A lot of times we lose a lot of wealth when Big Mama passes away. We don't know where to go, and we end up in the court system that's losing a lot of our equity and wealth. So we will have that at the tour as well. So there will be a full gamut of resources on each stop of the tour.
Right, but okay, this is what I'm saying. All right. How long is the tour? How long is each tour stop?
The tour is going to be for 8 days.
No, but how long is each stop? One day?
So each stop is 1 day.
Got it. So what I'm saying is, so you said St. Louis is one of the cities, or Memphis? You said Memphis is one of them, right?
Memphis is one of the cities.
Okay.
So when we go to Memphis on Monday, go ahead.
All right. So let's say you go to Memphis. All right. It's 1 day. All right. If there's somebody who needs help getting their credit repaired, okay, you're only there 1 day. Who are you partnering that person with when y'all leave town?
Great. So thank you. So NARAB is a national association, but we're comprised of 115 boards in cities across America. So in each of these cities, we have a local board with great leadership on the ground. And so this isn't a one-stop shop. We're leaving. Good luck to you. We're going to continue the work. One thing about Realtors members, we're going to be with you. If it takes you 24 months to buy a home, we'll be with you all 24 months. And so that's the benefit. So we are in the cities that we are going to.
All right. So one of the issues that we're facing is that you have an increasing number of people who don't see the value in home ownership, and they say, I don't want to be burdened with that. This is not just black people. This is other folks as well. And so how do you deal with that where somebody says, hey, I don't want to be locked into a 30-year mortgage. I don't want to sit here, and I want to have the flexibility to be able to go where I want to go and do what I want to do. And so how are you speaking to that? Because that is an increasing number of people in this country.
It is. And I would say, so we're speaking to that in terms of the financial aspect of it. So a 30-year mortgage, you basically are freezing what your debt is going to be for the next 30 years. You know exactly 15 years from now what that mortgage payment is going to be. You cannot say the same thing about rent. And so as insurance rates are going up, taxes are going up, we obviously are in an environment where mortgage rates are high. That gets passed on to the renters. And so home ownership is the only thing that we feel that you can actually freeze that in. Hopefully you'll continue to grow in your income, but your debt is frozen. So I've been paying a mortgage since 2012 on one of my properties, and I'm paying the same thing no matter what the economy is looking like. And so that's the message that we really have to continue to push out there. I understand mobility and understanding people want flexibility, but you also have to have security.
Questions from the panel. Michael, you first.
Okay, so the question I had, and it may be two-part, kind of following on what Roland was saying, is how will you gauge success? Is it turnout? How many people show up in each city? Is it how many homeowners you get over a certain period of time? And then how will you be able to track it, and how will they report back to you? Okay, I finally got a home after a year, things like this. So how do you gauge success in this? Now, this is good. But I'm just wondering.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. So we gauge success with the percentage of home ownership. So that's obviously comes out every quarter. We want to make sure we're trending in the right direction. Historically, we've been anywhere between 41 and 43%. Black home ownership has never gone over 50%. We're at 49.1%. Even in the terms of when we had the Wild West and everyone with a DNA could get a loan or a mortgage, we still didn't get over 50%.
Right, no doubt loans.
The way we're going to tackle it is looking at the rates of home ownership as we continue.
Candace. All right. Looks like we lost. So something has happened with our signal. All right, everyone's back. Candace back. All right, got it. All right, Candace, go ahead.
One of the things is that, well, I have two things, but I'll just go with the one that was biggest for me, and that was student loans. How do you get people to balance the student loans that are out there? I was able to get mine released because I worked for the state for long enough, but that was a stranglehold that was out of this world. And I can't imagine having it right now. And because so many of the programs are changing, even to go to school now, it's hard to even go to school in order to get a degree that might increase your particular salary. But my base question is, what are the options for people who do have these enormous student loans? What's your best advice?
Yeah, our best advice is there are a lot of programs out there. If you get on a income-based payment plan, your payment will be lower. It helps you qualify. But really, we need to deal with policy around the student loans piece, especially when it comes to applying for a mortgage. So that's where we're really focused on. We really want to look at that. Student loans are the only thing that requires future calculations when you're applying for a mortgage. And so that's a problem for us.
Matt?
I have probably the dumbest question, but it is really a real question. So how do you combat the sentiment that I've heard a lot of younger people, especially younger professionals? There are people who just don't believe that a home ownership is any longer the financially prudent path. How do you combat that? I mean, because you probably hear this. A lot of people who would say, I don't think it really translates anymore the way it used to. And I think there are some people who might otherwise be able to buy a home who are dissuaded from either misinformation, disinformation, or misunderstanding of the economics. So how do you address that?
I think we have to do a better job of showing people the actuals, moving it from a conversation and ideas to an actual, let me show you what happened. Let me show you what I bought the home for, now what it's worth. And actually showing the next generation what that looks like. I think often too many times we just have conversation and, there's always a back and forth in a conversation. But if I can actually show you that I purchased this house for $200,000 and now it's worth $850,000, I think we can move this forward. But the conversation around how do we show the young people, this is how we have to actually show them.
All right. When does the tour start?
We start on April 25th in Philadelphia. We will conclude in Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma on May 2nd.
All right. So,
and at each of the stops, I will say, each of the stops, we also will have voter registration set up there as well. That's very important for us.
all right. So, folks want more information. Where do they go?
They can go to NAREB.com, NAREB. You can see us on any of our socials. I see it up right here, but NAREB will give you all the information. We appreciate you.
All right, Ashley, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Folks, how do you reach young voters? That really is something that all politicians are trying to figure out. We know that older voters, 65 plus, they vote at a higher rate than anybody else. Well, I had a conversation with the millennial host of our show, The Other Side of Change, Bria Baker and Jameer Burley. We talked about that and what really needs to be done. Here's some of that conversation. All right, let's get right into it. Bria, Jameer, I've had numerous conversations with political strategists, and I've been trying to explain to people for the longest on the show that they need to understand the political dynamics today of Black people, and which also in many ways mirror Americans as well. People who are 65 and older vote at the highest rates than anybody else. The next group is 55 plus. Once you go below 54, the numbers begin to shift. And if a Black person is 65 and older, they likely identify as a Democrat. That's just simply the case. But the reality is, when you start talking about 18 to 35, 18 to 44, less likely to identify. And what I have said consistently is that if Democrats want to capture this demo, especially for African Americans, they're going to have to spend 3 to 4 times as much money and as time in a longer period of time walking through why they should vote for them. This notion that they're just going to vote for you just because, that's gone. That ain't going to happen. And I think we've seen we've seen that borne out in the last 4 to 5 elections.
I mean, I have so many opinions. I'm going to keep it real brief, though, so that Jameer can jump in. But I very much agree. Number one, you have to recognize that with each new generation of Black people, we're growing more and more jaded. We have more and more proof of why we are distrustful of the establishment politics. And we feel more and more slighted. We've seen generations before us do things the nonviolent way, do things the electoral way, do march hand in hand in suits and feeling like, well, if that hasn't gotten us anywhere, then why should I keep investing in that same institution? And it doesn't mean that all of these young people are Republicans necessarily, but people are definitely more critical of the Democratic Party, just as they are critical of the Republican Party. And I think that that's important because the Democrats shouldn't take us for granted. You are going to need to spend more money and dollars on getting over that hurdle, but it's going to pay out because when Black people are loyal to you, we are deeply loyal. It's not just our votes, it's the way that we canvass, it's the culture that we create that other people follow. So it's a worthwhile investment. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff to wade through for young Black people to feel like these are people who are interested in me. And more than them turning into Republicans, we have to worry about them turning into non-voters who will not be engaged over their lifetimes.
Right. And that point right there, Jameer, I've said numerous times, the couch is an option. This idea that it's not, it is an option.
For me, what has been vastly clear over the last decade, really, especially for a lot of millennials who happen to be millennials of color, Black millennials, is that we've been told for so long that progress takes time, that incremental times. And it makes me reminded of the James Baldwin interview where he was like, well, how much time do I have to give to your progress? And now we're seeing so many progressive Democrats coming out the woodwork who were jaded and shaded by the Democratic establishment, and yet they still won their race. And they are creating some of the most extreme progressive policies that we have seen in generations. And so I feel like so many of us have been bitten, and we've been told that if you do these things, you will have access to the American dream. And we're seeing time and time again that American dream is getting further and further away. I also think for the Democratic Party, if you're going to invest in reaching these voters, it's not just the message, it's also who's sending these messages. How are you ensuring you're engaging a wide slew of influencers and thought leaders who are people seen as respected voices in the community, who can really lean into engaging stakeholders that are oftentimes not brought to the table, or when they are brought to the table is at the last minute when votes are about to be counted.
I'm gonna come back to the extreme progressive positions in a second, but I'm gonna stay on this point here. So I was having a conversation the other day with a elected official who won their primary, and we were talking about the fall, November, and this is what I said to this individual. I'm not gonna say whether it's a he or she. What I said to this individual was, if you're going to communicate and you're going to need you're going to need Black folks to win. I said you're going to have first, second, and third an economic plan. And this is what I told him. I said, if you study the last 60 years electoral politics, if you go 60s, 70s, and I'll go in 80s. And I then will say early to mid 90s. So much of the discussion regarding Black voters was social programs. It was housing. It was food. It was healthcare. I said, but now you're going to have a real conversation about creating economic opportunities and entrepreneurship. And I said, so to understand, I said, because then I began to walk this person through. So I graduated from Texas A&M in 1991. So my generation was the first one. Don't hate, because that's how you probably pay for your Netflix right now. You still using somebody's password.
Now we gotta get to the sharing.
Yeah,
You know that is communalism at practice.
Exactly. You see this capitalist on the side saying you share a password. Like it's a bad thing.
You blocking mutual aid, Roland?
Yeah, I got nieces who's like, hey, Uncle Roro, can you send me the code to Disney Plus? So don't even try it. So
they're inviting you into mutual aid, Roland.
Yeah, right. It's my aid that's paying for the streaming service, and they want to mutually use it. So anyway, probably 89, 90, 91, I'm listening to the conversations, and I'm seeing a generation of Black folk who coming out of college making more money than their parents ever made. Now all of a sudden they're having conversations that we didn't have in Black community. We didn't give a shit about the top tax rate. We didn't care about that sort of stuff because we ain't had no money. Now all of a sudden, you're now coming out, you're making $45,000, $50,000, $60,000. Now all of a sudden, you're now earning six figures. Now you're having real money conversations. Now you got people talking about entrepreneurship. And I said, so now you're dealing with a generation that really has grown up their entire life owning. And I think this candidate, you're going to have to understand that's what they're talking about. And the candidate was shocked. I said, because I said, you're not understanding what the discussion is. So my youngest nieces are 21. My nephew is 16. They have grown up around entrepreneurs. So they are talking about starting their own business. I said, this group of voters is different. You better have an economic plan that speaks to creating wealth for the future. And this candidate was like, wow, wasn't aware of them. Like, yep. I'm like, damn, you white strategists. Trust me.
No, and I want to lean into that so much because I think that is even more clear as we are dealing with so many corporations who are doing these mass layoffs, and Black folks are being deeply impacted by that, particularly Black women. We've seen more than 300,000 Black women being laid off over the last year. And so I think a lot of them are leaning into, okay, if I can't participate in these economic structures that have been created by either corporations or the public sector through government jobs, I'm going to now create my own. And so many of them are leaning into more entrepreneurial opportunities than they ever have before, not just because they have more money in education, but also because they've seen the systems that have said, if you invest your time, your education, and you give us that blood, sweat, equity, we will invest in you. And now you see them getting laid off. And I think they're rejecting that traditional form of like spending, working somewhere for 15, 20 years and retiring there because those jobs are just not reliable anymore.
Bria?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think the challenge, though, is that we are still treated like a monolith. So the understanding is that, oh, Black people equals urban, Black people equals poor, Black young people equal following in the traditions of their parents. And all of those things couldn't be more untrue. But what is the case is that young Black people are making more than our parents and our grandparents ever conceived of, but we're dealing with a cost of living that is not making sense. We're saddled with student loans
and generational debt,
becoming caretakers at very young ages because our parents are dealing with systemic issues with their health, and do not have the retirement savings that they need. And so there's this tax that happens to these young Black professionals where we are making more money than we could have ever imagined, and it's not going anywhere. And that is a deeply frustrating thing, to feel like you did everything you were told to do. We are one of the most highly educated demographics. We went to college, we went to master's programs, we went to PhD programs, and we still are barely keeping the lights on, and none of that is making sense. It's like I should be able to enjoy life the way that my white peers are, who I graduated with, and I'm seeing in real time that the economics is not matching up. And so generational wealth is top of mind for so many young Black people right now. So yeah, economics is going to matter to us. What's happening with tariff wars is going to matter to us. The cost of high, I think people were so excited by Biden getting through some student loan cancellation, only for a lot of that to be reversed under Trump again. So, a lot of this is very top of mind. And as you said, it is not from this place and position of begging. A lot of it is like, hey, I'm a stakeholder now. I have some equity here, but I'm not feeling the proof of it. Make this feel better. Make this experience feel better, because I'm making six figures and I'm just as stressed as I was, as it seems like my parents were.
Now let's flip it. And here's the thing that I have been trying to explain to those same potential voters, who, again, I'll say in that 18 to 44, 18 to 45 bracket. And that is this here. When people go, get it in the mud, bootstrap, or we'll need government help, I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? The reality is, if you study the history of Black people, when you talk about in terms of how did you see this expansion of Black wealth in the last 60 years, it wasn't because of corporate America. It was through government contracts. So it was through city, school board, county, state government, federal government. So I tell people, if you want to advance entrepreneurship and you want to advance that, you can't check out a political process, because you need the folks involved to ensure those contracts are coming to our community. And so,
not just that, but also zoning. A lot of young Black people are so interested in real estate and building wealth.
And zoning is political.
Yeah, zoning is so political. They will switch a zoning real quick once you buy some land, so that you can't put nothing on it but a tiny house. And you had visions to put some big super center like that. Like, all of these things are very deeply political. What access you have as a tenant, what access you and resources you have as a landlord, what access you, like, so many of it. So
but that's where I think the Democratic Party has a pathway to engaging this community, is actually to help them, to educate them on how all of these things are interconnected. The
but
reason
it's not
why
them.
Huh?
But it's not the party.
No, but I'm saying, when institutions like educational systems are no longer teaching that in class, there has to be a gap that is filled. And so if we are saying that one of the gaps is that people do not actually understand how politics impacts their day-to-day lives, then there needs to be an educational campaign that actually spends that time in communities connecting those dots for folks.
Yeah, and I think
that's why I'm saying that's my party. And this is why I think what I have been yelling, hollering, and screaming is that Black people, we have to go back to citizenship education training. We have to reinstitute the Saturday sessions. We have to do this, because I call it connecting the dots. And whenever I travel this country, and I'll never forget, this was 2016. I was doing my radio show, and his sister from North Carolina called. She was a young activist, and she said, I don't like Trump. I'm not feeling Hillary. And so, you know what? I'm just going to focus on the issues in my state. I went, okay. She was in North Carolina. I said, gotcha. I said, okay, can you name me your top 3 issues? The president with her 3 issues. I did explain to her, I said, are you aware that the person who's running for United States Senate in your state blocked 2 black women from the federal court from being on the federal bench? She's like, no. I said, yeah, but because of a blue slip. I said, that person, the United States Senator. I said, do you know who appointed those judges? I said, Obama did. And that is my struggle right there, Matt. What people need to understand, you can't say, I want this to happen, but I'm going to check out of the political process. So how do you think those things are going to happen? Like, there is no, you've got the federal government, you've got corporate America, okay? There is no other thing that's out there that's going to deliver resources. There is no other thing.
Yeah, and there's no level of pulling yourself out of the process or pouting or crowing about the process that's going to yield the results you're complaining about not having, right? You have to be involved. And as we've talked many times on this show, this is especially true with local government, because in terms of the government that responds to what you need and want, and your complaints and, you know, your desires, you have the most access to local government. So, you know, not only do we need to learn those levels, not only do we need to learn there isn't anything beyond the federal government and corporations at that level, but we need to learn that the most effective change that you will feel most substantially happens in your immediate community on the state level and really lower than that in the city level. And I think a lot of times people, you know, throw away everything if they don't get the one thing that they want, or they take the disinformation. And the truth is, you know, you can make a difference if you are plugged into the community, especially when your local people cannot escape you, right? You can go to the local city council meeting and they can't get away from it. You can yell at 1600 Pennsylvania as much as you want. Donald Trump ain't gonna hear it. But your mayor or your county council or whatever you call your local government will hear that. They're accessible to you, and there can be accountability in the event they don't give you what you're looking for.
Candace, it frustrates me to no end when people do not understand how politics work. And then when I hear these Simple Simons, oh, you a Democratic shield. Okay, this is very simple. There's the Democratic Party, there's the Republican Party. All right, you can holler Green Party, not a problem. You can talk about in New York, the Workers' Families Party, Libertarian, all those other different lines on the ballot. This is all I want to know. I need somebody to show me beyond these 2 pathways what else there is. And I mean, so I'm telling people, this real simple. If there's 2, then I got to make a decision which pathway, which lane am I going to drive down? Am I going to go down this lane that has potholes and they shooting at me and they got barricades, or on this one, they've got some gravel on the road. Which one of these roads am I going to drive down to have a better shot to get to where I'm going? That's a decision that you have to make. This is not a complicated decision to assess both parties.
Yeah, no. And we know how both parties have been explaining themselves, explaining their dispositions and how they feel about whether it's housing or whether it's loans or whether it's, how people get food who are underserved. So you're right. It comes down to making a decision, or I'm going to piggyback off of what Matt said. Because, if you think about the ways that, as you mentioned, that we change policy, that we get resources, there really are only a few ways to do it. And that's really, to just give yourself to the carnivores that are out there. But on a lower level, before you get to that point where you feel like you're going to be eaten, that's where we really need to talk about civics and teaching people about what it means to understand who's on your board of education, to understand who is your mayor, and to expose young people at a young age. To be in 6th grade and have elections is very eye-opening. We should be doing that. We should be doing that in the 3rd grade, so it won't all seem like this weird place that is so out of touch for us, because by the time we get to a certain point, it's all going to pretty much look the same unless you live in a certain city. It's going to be mostly white and mostly male. But you combat that and you give a third lane besides the 2 lanes that you're talking about by exposing younger people for the next generation. Will it happen now? It's going to be harder, but we can train them up now so they can look at politics in a different way and understand all of the lanes that are out there and understand that they have a right to be one of those lanes.
And you know, Michael, when I hear people say, we need our own party, what I actually hear is we need to be able to organize and mobilize Black people and then leverage that voting power to get it is that we desire. That doesn't happen by folk just chirping about this is what we need. It actually requires some work being done to organize and mobilize.
Yeah, and also involves understanding history, economics, law, and politics, and how all this comes together and how to actually get policies put in place, how to organize, how to get votes, how to get candidates put on ballots, get the necessary signatures to get candidates put on ballots, et cetera, and then actually get them elected and then hold them accountable after the election. So, I agree with what you said in that discourse right there with the millennials, Roland, that Black people are going to have to do this. We're going to have to educate our people on politics. We're going to have to fund organizing. I've said before, if we're relying, and I know you know that this is not going to happen, Roland, but if we're relying on white people or white Democrats to come educate Black people on how to beat white people at a game called politics, white people created for themselves to win, I don't know what to tell you. That's not going to happen. We have to, I'm neither Democrat nor Republican, but I'm definitely not stupid. We have to understand how to use and leverage politics as a tool to accomplish what we want, and how to use the Democratic Party as a tool to get what we want, not look at them as a savior. And one of the things that has to be done, Roland, and you do this here on the show, is we have to lay out what has been accomplished so we understand what needs to be protected. Because the Biden-Harris administration made significant gains, whether it was $17 billion for HBCUs, 2.4 million jobs for African Americans, fastest growth in African American business ownership, 60% increase in household net worth for African Americans, things like this. That's all being decimated right now under Donald Trump because people didn't understand what needed to be protected. Okay, so these are things that have to take place, and we are going to have to do this. I don't look for white people to come educate us on this.
Well, I've made this point that, hey, if we want to see Black folks organized and mobilized in 2026, that means our people are going to have to begin to take our coins and take our dollars and cents and say the Black voters matter. Boom, we're going to raise the $5-10 million that y'all need. We're not going to give it to a campaign or to a party. It has to happen. And I'm just simply saying to Black people, it ain't going to happen because you was like, I remember when I was at Texas A&M, we had our Voices of Praise choir. Now y'all got to understand, I'm born and raised Catholic. So I'm sitting here and I'm looking at all these holy rollers, and they are sitting there talking in tongues, and they talk about God's going to provide, God's going to provide, God's going to provide. And I'm just sitting there going, hey, I hear y'all. I agree with the assessment that God will provide. I said, but don't we have to plan a fundraiser? I said, because I'm just saying, I don't think, we were trying to raise some money for some choir robes. I said, I don't think 100 choir robes are just going to show up in the mail with proper sizes. I think we kind of got to do something. Man, them Negroes looked at me like I had questioned their faith. And I was like, I'm sorry, but we kind of got to do something. And this is my problem when I hear these Simple Simons whining and complaining on social media. I'm like, you ain't organized nothing, you ain't planned nothing, or you ain't done nothing, but now you want to say what somebody else is doing ain't working. I'm like, but you ain't done nothing. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? And that's the craziest thing to me. And so I keep telling everybody, it ain't just gonna happen. There's going to have to be some work involved in order for it to happen. And it's March. I keep telling Black folk, don't wait for October. And we ain't got to wait on no campaign, no party, and no candidate. Right now, we could be organizing and mobilizing Black voters. We don't need anybody. In every city, somebody's watching. Folks could say, we're going to be having a weekly town hall. all right? Citizenship education training, whatever the hell you want to call it, okay? Freedom schools, call it whatever you want to call it. But we cannot maximize black power if all folk are saying, we need this and we need that and we need this. Okay, what are you prepared to do? Quick break. We come back. We're going to talk about the temporary protected status for Haitians. That's going before the Supreme Court. Also, Crockett Chronicles, plus Black Star Network headlines with Brittany Noble. All of that next. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Hey y'all, welcome to The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network and hosted by myself, Bria Baker, and my good sis, Jamira Burley. We are just two millennial women tackling everything at the intersection of politics, gender, and pop culture.
And we don't just settle for commentary. This is about solution-driven dialogue to get us to the world as it could be and not just as it is.
Watch us on the Black Star Network, so tune in to The Other Side of Change.
I'm Ryan Wilson, CEO and co-founder of The Gathering Spot, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
The U.S. Supreme Court will hear oral arguments next month regarding the Trump administration's request to end temporary protected status for individuals from Haiti and Syria. In the one-page order, the court said it will allocate an hour in the second week of April to hear arguments on whether approximately 356,000 people from those two countries should maintain their deportation protections under TPS. So far, the Supreme Court has approved an emergency request allowing the Trump administration to terminate TPS for Venezuela, which has left over 500,000 people from that South American country in a precarious situation without deportation protections. However, the recent order postpones a similar fate for those seeking TPS from Haiti and Syria. Farah Lario, a TPS recipient and national advocate, joins us right now. Farah, glad to have you here. I mean, this is major, and this could have an impact. I remember the governor of Ohio, Mike DeWine, was on Face the Nation, and he was talking about how critical those Haitian immigrants have been to the economy of Springfield, Ohio.
Absolutely, Martin. We are an asset for this country. We contribute our life, our talent, our skills to make sure that we deliver. And Haitian workers have a great reputation, and we don't rely on government programs, social programs. We are entrepreneurs, and we make sure that we stay in the line, and we come here to for a better life. Based on the promise that America is a land of opportunity for all. And as many know, Haiti is in a bad situation right now. And Haitians are qualified for what the statutes mean, which is to protect those who cannot go back to their country. But this administration is based on lies and just to make the decision, and destroying people's life.
What it also means is, I mean, it's a little hard to say, oh yeah, we're going to start deporting 350,000 people. And if you do that, you're exacerbating an already difficult problem that's in Haiti.
Correct. And that is important for the American people to know, because Haiti cannot afford to welcome 250,000 recipient, TPS recipient. Actually, Haiti cannot provide to those who are home. It's a country that is basically under control of a terrorist group, and there's a lot of corruption in Haiti. There's literally many businesses have closed, shut down, and it's only a few ports, few towns that are in operation, and so it's already difficult for those who live over there. How it's gonna be to send out 250,000 people? It's just like you say, it's gonna create a more problem, and it's gonna also amplify these terrorist group, because once you have Asian TPS recipient back in Haiti, they're going to become a target for this terrorist group, for kidnapping, a ransom. And so they're going to get the money that they need to purchase more weapons. And actually, these weapons are purchased in United States. We have to specify that. And so it make it the situation worse. And not only for Haiti, but for the whole hemisphere and also for United States.
Well, it's abundantly clear Donald Trump does not care about any of these people in MAGA. They want everybody gone, so it does not matter. So we'll certainly be watching what happens in these oral arguments.
And this is persecution.
Yep.
This is definitely persecution, and for them, it seems like for them, once you are black or once you are from a country who has a certain problem, you don't deserve to exist. And this is why we're fighting. We're fighting to tell the world that Haitians have the right to exist, and this administration is just destroying people's life, and this is unacceptable. And because these people, they came here for a reason, and the TPS, temporary protected status, was exactly voted by Congress to address this issue, and we deserve to stay here.
All right, Bear, we certainly appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for your time.
You know, the point that I'm always trying to make, Candace, is that MAGA don't give a damn. They want everybody gone. They want this to be a white country. Donald Trump has made it clear he wants white people. And he's like, Haitian Syrians, y'all, Venezuelans, y'all got to go because y'all ain't white.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you don't even have to read between the lines anymore. But I think one of the things that is going to be a really big surprise, or not, is just the tentacles that are going to be spread if this actually happens. First of all, it's going to be an administrative nightmare. It's going to be a nightmare trying to get all those people back to a country that, as she said, they can't even deal with the situation that's going on in their own country, whether it's gangs, whether it's food insecurity. That is the reason why they are over here, and that is the reason why they actually need to stay. The repercussions on America, when we talk about the healthcare system, all the folks, or most of the folks that my father had that helped him through his process in healthcare, we were speaking French to them. They were Haitian. You know, there are about 100,000 people across this country that are in the healthcare industry that is already suffering, right? We have hospitals that are closing by the dozens every year. This is really going to have a huge effect if it actually happens. Now, we've already heard from the lower courts, you know, they stayed the order. Hopefully this is a sign in terms of what the Supreme Court will do, and we will know come April because it's going to be fast-tracked.
These white folks want their country. They want it back, and they ain't lost it. But bottom line is they don't want to see any advancement at all of any brown person, Matt.
What is the name of the guy they tried to put in front of Congress recently?
Jeremy Carl. Jeremy Carl.
Jeremy Carl.
And he sat down with a New York Times guy and was trying to explain all of his white views.
I saw that post today. I hadn't had a chance to watch it yet. But what I was going to say is, you know, rhetoric like his and rhetoric like so many of the people we know who are in MAGA is indicative of exactly how they feel, right? And those indicators came a long time ago when we were talking about the lies that were being told during the campaign about Haitians allegedly eating dogs and doing all kinds of stuff in Ohio. This is indicative of a hate for somebody who does not look like you, in the same time that we are trying to bring in white South Africans claiming that they are being persecuted, right? I mean, it could not be clearer who you want and who you don't want. Let me put it that way. And this is stupid. And the Supreme Court, you know, unfortunately has not, in my opinion, recently made the decisions that are on the right side of the law. They've too often capitulated to Mr. Trump. Now with the recent tariff decision, we know they went in a little different direction. But the point is, I don't have faith that they will not find a way to end what we know should not be ended. What I am interested in, though, that is obviously outside of the Supreme Court's jurisprudence on this, is whether there's any international law safeguard. I don't know enough about UN treaties and various things to know whether there is some equal protection equivalent, because the issue I see here particularly is, I understand Congress has autonomy. I heard you say nope, but it seems to me that, you know, member states should be able to allow people from other countries to come under certain circumstances and not discriminate against countries that they don't like. But I suppose that's not, as you said, is not codified on the international level anywhere. And maybe
Nope.
it's not enforceable. So
Nothing international. We have standards here, but Donald Trump's like, he doesn't give a damn about those standards. Michael, here is some of that racist Jeremy Carl's conversation. It was about an hour conversation. And so he's a white nationalist, but he wants to dress it up as, oh no, I'm just concerned about our people. Listen.
Offer a similar explanation for why you would use a term like cultural genocide. Just because that's, again, a phrase that's associated with some pretty far-right perspectives on the world.
I'm thrilled that you asked this because I've used it twice.
I don't know if you're thrilled, but you're
I am,
okay
because
that I've asked
it's great
it.
because I can show how totally disingenuous my critics have been.
Is there an epidemic of anti-white discrimination in America?
Are you a white male who's experienced discrimination?
A man who says he was fired for being a white male.
What they're calling reverse discrimination.
And who is more fixated on identity politics? The left?
Identity politics has become an anchor on how the Democratic Party functions.
They believe the highest title you can have is your pronoun.
I'm white, I'm a dude, and I'm for Harris.
Or the right?
Things were a lot better back when white men were not being discriminated against.
White people were so openly attacked and denigrated.
A generation of white men have had their career prospects obliterated.
My guest this week wrote a book arguing that white Americans are in danger of becoming second-class citizens.
We can't save the country without kind of addressing this.
This is an idea with a lot of currency on the contemporary right, but it became the source of a lot of controversy when the Trump administration nominated him for a State Department job.
Your belief is that white Americans face more discrimination, at least prior to the Trump administration fixing this, than black Americans.
On average, Senator, yes, that's correct, and I'm not running away from that statement at all.
Jeremy Carl, welcome to Interesting Times.
Thanks so much for having me, Ross.
Thank you so much for being here. So you are a senior fellow at the Claremont Institute, which is a well-known, especially in the Trump era, conservative think tank.
So, folks, again, our conversation there, listen, and Michael, I mean, there's a reason why Trump wanted him in the State Department. Donald Trump is a white nationalist, and Stephen Miller's a white nationalist. Stephen Miller's wife, Katie Miller, she can whine and complain all she wants to. She's married to a white nationalist.
Yeah, so a few things here, Roland. So number one, thanks for playing that. And I was on the segment a couple of weeks ago with Brittany Noble and Matt, and we talked about Jeremy Carl. So my followers at the African History Network love that segment. It got 1.2 million views. So number one. Number two, back on March 10th, Politico reported, just so everybody knows, that Jeremy Carl dropped out of the nomination for the State Department because of the heat that he drew from people like Senator Cory Booker for comments about white culture, etc. So he dropped out of that. He couldn't take the heat. So
he also dropped out because the Republicans said we ain't voting for his ass.
Right. Yep. That was it. Also, so they had some lines that they weren't willing to cross as well. So when it comes to Haiti. What's interesting, I'm on the State Department's website right now. They have a travel advisory for Haiti, a level 4 travel advisory, do not travel from July 15th, 2025. And it says, do not travel to Haiti due to kidnapping, crime, terrorist activity, civil unrest, and limited health care. Okay, but you want to send, but Donald Trump, who lied and said the Haitians were eating dogs and cats in Springfield, Ohio, now he wants to send them back. Yeah, and there's a travel advisory. Go ahead.
Yeah, because travel advisory for white people. That's what it was for. So, but again, I mean, it was for white people. So the bottom line is what their whole goal is very simple. They want this to be as white as possible. They want this as white, and then when black people are sounding like a lot of them on immigration, what the black people understand is they don't want our asses here either. So
because they think we're immigrants too. They think what Black MAGA and FBA and ADOS, the ones that follow that line of thinking, not saying all of them think like that, but the ones that adopt white supremacist ideology about immigrants, they think your black ass is an immigrant too. They don't think you belong. You obviously did not read Project 2025. Yep. You obviously don't understand what's taking place right now. They think that you don't belong, and they're trying to wipe our black behinds off of the political chessboard.
Gotcha. All right, folks, hold tight 1 second. Let's do this here. Let's go right to Black Star Network headlines with Brittany Noble.
A South Carolina man charged with a hate crime after firing a gun at his black neighbor has officially pleaded guilty and now faces up to 9 years in prison. Jonathan Felkel, who is white, pleaded guilty in federal court to violating the housing rights of his black neighbor, Jarvis McKenzie, in a 2025 incident. According to court documents, on July 17th in 2025, Felkel was driving into a gated community. Both men lived there, and when he fired a gun and shouted, "You better keep running, boy," at McKenzie. Well, Felkel later admitted that he was trying to scare McKenzie, adding that because he is black, he assumed his neighbor must be connected to dangerous criminals. He's expected to be sentenced sometimes in the next 90 days, while South Carolina remains one of just 2 states without hate crime legislation. Felkel was charged under a county-level ordinance passed in Richland County. In North Carolina, the parents of a black toddler are suing a former daycare worker who they say laid on top of their 16-month-old daughter, scrolling on her phone while their child died. According to the wrongful death lawsuit, Alexandra Coffey of the Creative Beginnings Daycare of Lenore put the child down on a sleeping mat and covered her head with a blanket before laying on top of the child. The suit says the 16-month-old Maddie Mitchell kicked for several minutes until her legs stopped moving. Even after the child stopped moving, the suit alleges that Coffey continued to lie on her for several minutes while scrolling on her phone, and the parents claim that even after getting up, Coffey did not check on Maddie for 3 hours until long after she was already dead. The medical examiner's office determined her death was a homicide. Coffey is currently free and out on bond. Republican Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders is speaking out after being asked to leave a restaurant in her home state where she was having lunch. That incident happened last week, March 13th, while she was eating with 2 other moms at Little Rock, the Crescenteray, when the owner approached a member of the state police executive protection detail and said that her presence made their employees feel threatened due to her political views and was told to leave. Sanders and her party complied with the request and exited the restaurant. As they were leaving, an individual standing with the restaurant staff shouted for them to go and made a crude hand gesture in the governor's direction. Well, that restaurant released a lengthy statement about the incident, saying when they first learned she had arrived at the establishment, they were surprised and uncertain how best to respond. The restaurant says that as time went on, the governor's security detail became more widely noticed by both employees and guests, and questions were being raised about them remaining in the restaurant. A similar incident happened to Sanders back in 2018. A New York man who spent 19 years in prison for a roughly $550 robbery was exonerated and freed earlier this week after prosecutors agreed that he didn't commit the crime. A judge threw out 61-year-old Kenneth Wendley's conviction and dismissed his case entirely at the request of his lawyers and prosecutors. Prosecutors said new evidence, including confessions from 2 other men who were convicted of similar robberies, supported Wendley's longstanding claim of innocence. Wendley was arrested in 2005 after buying a stove for his mother and a money order that turned out to be stolen from 70-year-old Gerald Ross by 2 thieves. At the time, Ross identified Wendley in a lineup as one of the thieves, and a jury convicted him in 2007 of robbery. Because of prior felony convictions, Wendley was sentenced to 20 years to life in prison. But Wendley was not involved in the robbery and had brought the money order at discount from a couple of acquaintances. Now, according to sworn testaments and interviews with District Attorney's Office representatives, the 2 men admitted to robbing Ross together and said Wendley was not involved. In Alexandria, Virginia, Mayor Aaliyah Gaskins launched the Fresh Start initiative, which aims to prevent evictions and strengthen long-term financial stability for families living in public housing, thanks to a $1 million donation from the Alfred Street Baptist Church. The grant comes after the Alexandria Redevelopment and Housing Authority revealed that they have lost $1 million in unpaid rent over their 445 public housing units due to increased cost of living challenges in the DMV, regional job market, and lingering economic effects of the global pandemic. Well, Mayor Gaskin said that those receiving the grants will still be required to pay rent, but that the effort aims to help families avoid eviction and homelessness. A Miami woman was scammed by an impersonator of popular comedian and radio host Ricky Smiley. Kinsler says that she was scammed after finding an unverified TikTok page she believed belonged to Smiley while seeking donors for her organization called the Leap of Faith Foundation. It's a charity that promotes healthier communities through plays that she writes and showcases. Well, the accounts manager immediately offered support, including to help her pay off her student tuition and a small business loan. Well, the person claiming to be Smiley also offered a VIP trip to Dallas to discuss the film. Kinsler said that she sent her messages and videos to convince her that the offer was legitimate. All Kinsler had to do was pay $1,200 through a third-party app. Well, she sent the money, but the promises and the trip to Dallas never materialized. Hoping to get answers, Kinsley reached out to Ricky Smiley, but she was not able to get the help that she's looking for.
Oh my God. Candace, I really wish people would double check and triple check.
But listen, these deep fakes are good. I mean, there are ways that you can tell, but if you are not savvy and if you are not listening for those ways and
here's my point, Candace.
What's your point?
If you're trying to reach a radio show host,
yeah,
the radio show has an office.
This is true.
Call
this is true.
the office. Do not communicate with somebody through Instagram or Twitter.
Correct.
And you damn sure don't exchange money.
And that would be correct. That would be correct. I do notice her age, and that is who they prey upon. And we know that that is a fact. But you are correct in all what you're saying.
It drives me crazy, Matt, when these things happen. And I'm like, you have the phishing. It's just, listen, there was a Twitter thing going around. It was like, hey, there's this contest. I could something. Hey, will you vote for me? And I'm sitting there looking at it, and I go, and I know the person. So I text the person, say, dog, what's this? Oh man, it's a phishing scam. Cause my first, this is what I say to people all the time, Matt. If your ass got my number, why are you DMing me? The best DM is if you hit me direct.
Mm-hmm.
I tell folk, hey, when somebody's trying to get you, when you click a link in a Twitter DM, an Instagram DM, and it's taking you somewhere else and asking you to put in your username and password, hit exit immediately because they're trying to steal your data.
Look, man, there are a lot of slime balls out there, a lot of sleazy folks. I feel bad for this woman and this charity. I mean, I think you're right. All of those things are correct. People need to protect themselves. And there are a lot of times, a lot of tells. You know, if you use social media pretty frequently, you can tell the fake profiles, the bot pages, the phishing pages as compared to people who are actually using. So people just have to protect themselves. And I'm sorry that the charity got scammed. I mean, that's really an awful thing. But I will say, it seems like there's a real proliferation of scams right now, not only on social media, but I mean, there are people who are calling, purporting to be courthouses. I've had family members who've had to call me and say, man, they're calling me asking for me to pay something. I never even got arrested. I'm like, that's a scam. So, you know, unfortunately, the advent of technology also breeds the advent of better crooks. And people will find a way to scam people. And to Candace's, you know, this poor woman didn't unfortunately know how to discern that this was not actually Ricky Smiley. But, you know, the sleaze balls and the slime balls are the ones who deserve the real, you know, excoriation, not this poor lady. So I'm sorry it happened to her, but she will know now, and she can't trust what she sees on the internet.
Don't send nothing, Michael. Nothing.
Yeah, you know, I see the ads that the precautionary ads that are targeting senior citizens, things like that, warning them about telephone scams. Here you have, you know, this is something, this is kind of a new area because you have senior citizens now with smartphones, right? So now it opens them up. They're on social media, things of this nature, and it opens them up to a whole nother type of scam. And the first thing, if I heard correctly in that story, she went to an unverified page for Ricky Smiley. That's a clue right there. But she may not know the difference between a verified page and an unverified page, okay?
Again.
So,
Again.
you know, I feel sorry for her.
They have an office.
Office, yes.
They have an office with a phone number and an email.
Yeah. I work for 3 radio stations. I agree.
And Roland, they should look up the phone number, because often the phone number will be included, and you say, "Oh, let me call the number," or a website, and that's set up too by the scam artist, by the sleazeball,
Absolutely.
as Matt said. Yep.
All right, folks, that is it for us. Let me do this here. Matt, rough night for your Howard Bison last night.
Here we go.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, they made
every time you go here, it's
Matt,
about 8
they
minutes.
lost 101-80. I'm like, that's a rough night.
You know what?
So
I could not have been prouder of those young brothers, man. They took Michigan to task in the first half. They're only down by 4 points. It did open up, no doubt, but they played honorably and they fought to the last second. And that's all you can ask for your team. I'm not embarrassed, and I've seen the whole Howard family incredibly proud of those young brothers, and we'll support the sisters as well. So I'm very, very pleased.
And
they did lose.
I'm pleased. I'm pleased you actually wore a Howard Bison shirt, because you always on here trying to represent a school you didn't go to in Austin, Texas. Also, folks.
Who y'all play St. Mary's?
And we won.
How we kept moving.
We won. We
Notice
won.
how we kept moving.
Yeah, we won. So that's like you might want to like pump your brakes. Also, folks, I'm looking for the Tennessee State. First of all, tonight in about an hour and a half, Prairie View plays Florida, 1 seed versus 16 seeds. We'll be looking for that. Earlier today, I think Tennessee State. I'm looking for the actual score. Give me 1 second. So shout out to Tennessee State. They played their game. Here we go. Tennessee State played Iowa State, lost 108-74. So shout out to 3 HBCUs that made March Madness. Again, Tennessee State, Howard, and Prairie View. Prairie View is the only one remaining. We'll see what happens tonight. Hey, guess what? Virginia, they became the first #1 seed when they lost to a 16 seed. So it's in the NCAA history, it's 1 for 150, something like that. At that time, it was 135 1 seeds that had beat a 16 seed. So, hey, there's always a shot. All right, folks, we appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Enjoy the weekend. All right, y'all. Looking forward to all my peeps in Birmingham. I'm going to see y'all tomorrow. My homeboy Roy Johnson is turning 70 years old, and so going to celebrate his birthday. And I'll be in Atlanta Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I'm moderating a panel for HBCU Aware Fest taking place next week in Atlanta. So look forward to that as well. So I'll be on the road Thursday. I'll be in Raleigh, North Carolina. Alphas are having their regional convention. I'll be speaking to the brothers there as well. And so be back in the chair on Friday. So busy week next week on the road, taking the show on the road. All right, folks, support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Please do so. If you want to contribute via Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here. The QR code is also for credit cards, checks and money, or to make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037 7-0196. Download PayPal, R. Martin Unfiltered, Venmo, RM Unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Why are you shaking your head, Matt? What's your problem? Matt, what's your problem, Matt? Why are you shaking your head?
No, man, don't do that. I'm talking to Marianne. You know,
what's your problem? What's your problem, Matt?
Well, you know, it just, I don't understand, brother, how you going to denigrate Howard after such a great...
First of all, I didn't denigrate.
You got Howardites on your staff?
I didn't denigrate. I said they lost.
I don't know.
Is that factually correct?
I don't know, man. You came a little sideways. And
I didn't. They lost.
Deserve more love.
They lost. When we shouted out, when they previously won, we shouted them out about them. They lost. When they won, we said they won.
Is you finished or is you done? Because I'm about to go.
I mean, you don't want complaining. I mean, I just
I wasn't even talking to you. You
I
don't
just
start talking to me.
You always sit. You sitting here, but Bobby. I'm just saying. We stated it. We shouted out Howard the other night when Howard won. Shouted them out, congratulated them, talked about them going on. They won. Last night they lost. We here report the news.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Well,
so get out your feelings.
Merle, I'm gonna get out of here though.
So get out your feelings.
I'm not in my feelings, brother. I'm
right.
not in my feelings ever.
And if you come back, don't be trying to wear a Texas shirt next week. You better come back with a Howard Bison shirt on again.
I think the phrase is all hat, no cattle with that 10-gallon you got on.
First of all, it ain't 10 gallon, and I can guarantee you, I got cattle.
All right. Have a good night.
Let's be real. Hey, as Ice Cube said, big bank take little bank.
Man, I'm gone.
Yeah,
Have a good week.
I knew that was gonna send your ass on. All right.
Yeah.
Don't mess with nobody from Jack Yates, son. Nobody.
Oh, here we go.
All right. Don't start none. Ain't gonna be none. That little school you went to in Austin, don't nobody know about? What high school you went to?
Look, man. I went to W. Charles Aikens High School. Shout out to Mr. Aikens.
Hold up, what is it?
First black administrator in Austin.
What's the name of the school?
Aikens High School.
I ain't never heard of that.
Yes, it was a brand new high school when I went there. It was named after a black administrator.
Okay, all right. Cool. Well, Jack Yates is named after the famous preacher, Reverend Jack Yates. Y'all won anything?
Nah, we're terrible. Well, at least we were when I was there. We were bad.
No, y'all still terrible. We're
not great.
I guarantee you, I ain't never heard y'all win nothing. I mean, everybody else said we going to state, and the championship's normally in Austin. Y'all in Austin, and y'all never went across the freeway. Okay, all right, man.
I've gone to many championship games, but not from my school.
Oh yeah, you went to go see other people play. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, you got history there. Okay, all right. You done?
Yeah, he's so petty.
I'm just saying. I mean,
the pettiest man in the world.
I mean, we got titles like plural. In multiple sports.
50 years, bro. You gotta let that one go, dog.
No, dog. Let me explain something to you, son. Jack Yates.
That ship done sailed.
No. Let me explain something to you. What you understand about Jack Yates? Jack Yates for life, son. You can go around the country and you run the Jack Yates folks. You can't even leave Austin and find somebody from Aikens. All right, that's it. So because I'm about to get real petty with your little high school. What you had, about 400-500 people?
Oh, I think we had like 2,500 when I graduated.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? It was a brand new school when I started, so it went from 0 to 2,500.
Congratulations!
Big school.
Wow, congratulations! Still never heard of it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep. Still never heard of it. All right. What are y'all? Bearcats? Lions? What are y'all?
Eagles.
Oh, okay. Y'all were grounded.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Man, you trashing high schoolers now, bro?
Oh no, I'm gonna hit you. I'm gonna hit you college or high school. I'm gonna hit you junior high.
No, man.
I am King Petty.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, I see that. Man.
Yes, I am.
That.
Let me get back to my job. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Aikens High School best. Ain't never heard of it. Ain't won nothing. Never. I have no idea.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. We'll pray for y'all. So, matter of fact, Jack Yates might send a few trophies down y'all way. I mean, we can loan a few.
Man.
We can loan a few. It's all good. Okay, all right. I'm through being petty. Well, not really, but let me go ahead and finish. All right, y'all. Download the Black Star Network app. Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Samsung Smart TV. Be sure to get our Roller Mark Unfiltered swag. You can go to, of course, shopblackstarnetwork.com. You can get our t-shirts, our merchandise, all of our good stuff. If y'all want to support our black-owned products, we got all these products right here. You see it right here. Everything on this table black-owned. You can go to, of course, our shop, Black Star Network Marketplace, and check out the products, y'all. And so please support all these black-owned companies. When you support them, you support us as well. Be sure to get the Fanbase app. Get that app, Fanbase. Follow me at Roland S. Martin. I really appreciate that. Be sure to watch Brittany Noble, the breakdown of Brittany Noble every day, noon Eastern, right here, Roland Martin Unfiltered. And so, yes, I am representing Jack Yates, our 100th anniversary. And so, that's right, got the 87 for class of 87. And I told y'all, see, my jacket said Mr. TV, so I went ahead and had 87 and Mr. TV put on the back. See, they knew what I was going to do. They knew. They knew then, Matt. They knew what was going to go down. That's how we roll at Jack Yates High School. 3rd Ward, Houston. I will see y'all on Monday. Holla!